Hi everyone, welcome back to another exciting video about the 7 habits of highly effective people. Today we're going to be talking about habit 2, begin with the end in mind. We talked about habit 1 previously, which is to be proactive. To review quickly, a habit is defined as the intersection of knowledge, skill, and desire. The knowledge is the what to do and the why. The skill is the how to do, and the desire is the motivation, the want to do. In order to make something a habit in our lives, we have to have all three. An example the book gives is, in order to be truly effective in your interactions with others, such as your coworkers, your family, your relatives, anybody, is that you need to know that you need to listen, you need to know how to really deeply listen to them, and you need to want to listen to them. In the previous video about habit 1, I didn't really expand too much about this intersection stuff, so hopefully this explanation makes more sense. Moving on to habit 2, beginning with the end in mind, is about beginning today with a picture of the end of your life and using that as a frame of reference or the criterion by which everything else is examined. Beginning with the end in mind is to start with a clear understanding of your destination. It means to know where you're going so that you better understand where you are now and to see if the steps you are taking are in the right direction or not. The book gives an example of a funeral. Imagine yourself at your own funeral. Your family and friends are all there. They're all coming up to talk about you. What do you want them to say about you and your life? A kind and loving person? An honest person? A dishonest person? A mean person? And doing this allows us to attempt to discover some of our deepest fundamental values. Once we know what we want to be and what we want to do, our end in mind, and what our values are, then we can start taking actions that align with that end in mind. If we don't know what our end in mind is, then this presents a problem where all of the things we do, our activities, our achievements, they all feel empty because we are faced with not being able to answer the question, why am I doing this in the first place? Knowing what this end in mind is through the self-examination deep within ourselves allows us to find our definition of success. It's so common that a lot of people out there, through their own frame of reference, throw upon their own labels of success on other people. Here's an example. When it comes to rich people, it's very common for people to say, wow, this person is so successful. But if you go to the rich person and ask them, do you think you're successful? It's not always the case. They're going to say, yeah. They might not see themselves as successful because their end in mind is not about getting rich, but rather a different end in mind, whatever it may be that they have not yet achieved. Your end in mind may not be my end in mind. So it all starts with this mental creation. The book calls it the first creation. Then comes the physical creation. The book calls it the second creation, where you take action to achieve your end in mind. An example is building a home. You first start with your mental creation, where you picture in your mind what you want your house to look like. After you have a clear vision of what you want your house to look like, that's when you go about building it physically, the second creation. If you understand these two creations very well and take responsibility for them, then you work within and expand your circle of influence. The author mentions that if we don't look deeply within ourselves, as soon as we can, to find what our end in mind is, then we may end up letting others shape our lives for us and throwing their own visions at us. We need to and we can take charge of this first creation. We can write our own script. So moving on, the book talks about leadership and management. Basically, leadership comes first, then management second. Habit 1, be proactive, says that you are the creator. Habit 2 is the first creation. This habit is based on principles of personal leadership. Again, leadership comes first, in which you think about what you want to accomplish. Management comes second, in which you think about how you can best accomplish certain things. Effectiveness does not depend on how much energy we expend on something, but rather if that energy is being expended in the right area. The author mentions that a lot of people focus too much on management and working on all of this efficiency and how best to accomplish something without even clarifying their values and even understanding what they're trying to accomplish in the first place. Basically, habit 2 allows us to have a solid foundation to work from while we live our lives to work towards our well-defined goals. Moving on, the author talks about how we should and are able to write our own scripts, and that this is really about re-scripting, changing those basic frame of references that you had from scripts given to you by other people while you're growing up. Our self-awareness allows us to discover those ineffective scripts that don't align with our values. And habit 2 says that you don't have to live those scripts given to you by other people. We're responsible for using our creativity to write new scripts that align with our values and align with what we're trying to accomplish in our lives. The author mentions that the most effective way to begin with the end in mind is to write a personal mission statement. It focuses on what you want to be, your character, what you want to do, your contributions and achievements, and upon the values or principles upon which being and doing are based. And everyone's personal mission statement is unique to you, and it's used as the basis for important life decisions. So once we have that sense of mission, we have tapped into our own proactivity. Once your foundation is known to you, then you'll be able to see if your future decisions align with that mission and if they're in the right direction. The book then talks about how we can get started on writing a personal mission statement. We need to start at the center of our circle of influence, from the lens through which we see the world. We need to find our center by focusing on 4 factors: security, guidance, wisdom, and power. Security represents your sense of worth, your identity. Guidance means your source of direction in life. It's affected by your internal frame of reference that interprets what's going on around you and helps you make decisions. Wisdom is your perspective on life and how everything around you relates to each other. Power is the capacity to act and to accomplish something. This capacity includes overcoming ineffective habits and developing more effective ones. The author then says that these 4 factors are interdependent, and when all of these 4 are present together, then they help create a great and balanced character. Some common centers that people have are the following. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but just to summarize. There's spouse-centeredness, where there's emotional dependence on the other person. Family-centeredness, a focus on the family reputation. Money-centeredness, a focus on making money. Work-centeredness, pretty much you're being a workaholic. Possession-centeredness, basically having material possessions or fame. Pleasure-centeredness, having all the fun and pleasure. Friend and enemy-centeredness, emotional dependence of a friend. Or in the case of enemy-centeredness, making the other person the center of your life and reacting to the attitudes and behaviors of your enemy. And finally, there's self-centeredness, which is all about selfishness. And it's common that a person may have a combination of these centers that affects their lives, but the author claims that each of these individual centers have their own limits. Ideally, we want to create one clear center in which we can get a high degree of security, guidance, wisdom, and power, which empowers our proactivity and gives harmony to every aspect of our life. The author says that the center should be a principle center, in which our center is centered on correct principles. This creates a solid foundation for these 4 factors. These principles are deep, fundamental truths. Correct principles don't change. An example from the book that illustrates the effectiveness of a principle center is the following. Your boss calls you in for work in the evening to prepare for a serious meeting the next morning, but you already promised your wife that you're going to a concert that evening. Your different centers affect how you're going to respond to the situation. From a spouse center, we would choose our wife over the job, but obviously, with the work center, you're gonna be like, no, I gotta, sorry wife, I gotta work. If you only come from this one particular center, the spouse or the work, then after making that decision, deep down inside, you're gonna feel rather uneasy or maybe even sad because the other part mattered to you. Again, these very narrow and limited centers presents a lot of conflicting thoughts. As a principle-centered person, you'll be able to see this whole situation from a higher level and consider all factors instead of only seeing this through a limited perspective through these very specific centers. You'll be able to choose the best alternative to make things work out, such as by delegating some of the tasks to someone else and then coming in the next morning to wrap it up. You'll be able to feel at peace with your decision because you have considered all options. By being principle-centered, we have the foundation to be highly proactive and live effectively. We see, think, and act differently. We have a high sense of security, guidance, wisdom, and power that comes from this solid core. Moving on, the author talks about brain dominance theory. The left hemisphere is the more logical and verbal one. It deals with analysis. The right hemisphere is the creative one. The ability to practice habit 2 and write a personal mission statement depends heavily on our ability to tap into our right side creative brain. The more we're able to use our right side brain, the more we're able to visualize and to see clearly what we want to do and what we want to be in our lives. So further into how to write a personal mission statement, the author talks about how we should identify roles and goals in our lives. What are the different role areas in your life, and what are the goals that you want to accomplish in each of those areas? What are you about in that area? And what are the values that should guide you? The book provides a really nice example of a personal mission statement from an executive. My mission is to live with integrity and to make a difference in the lives of others. To fulfill this mission, I have charity. I seek out and love the one, each one, regardless of the situation. I sacrifice. I devote my time, talents, and resources to my mission. I inspire. I teach by example that we are all children of a loving Heavenly Father and that every Goliath can be overcome. I am impactful. What I do makes a difference in the lives of others. These roles take priority in achieving my mission. Husband. My partner is the most important person in my life. Together we contribute the fruits of harmony, industry, charity, and thrift. Father. I help my children experience progressively greater joy in their lives. Son and a brother. I am frequently there for support and love. Christian. God can count on me to keep my covenants and to serve his other children. Neighbor. The love of Christ is visible through my actions towards others. Change agent. I am a catalyst for developing high performance in large organizations. Scholar. I learn important new things every day. Really great stuff. Identifying roles and goals helps make your personal mission statement more manageable. Roles and goals give you balance, structure, and direction in life. Transitioning, we move on from personal mission statements to organizational mission statements. All of us are involved in organizations, such as volunteer, ministry, work. Mission statements are extremely important to successful organizations. And it's important that everyone buys into this mission. Everyone's actions and activities should align with achieving this mission. What is your organization all about? An organizational mission statement creates great unity and commitment if it reflects the deep values and vision of everybody in the organization. Everyone knows what they need to do and why they need to do certain things. Our activities are given substance and meaning because they're done to help fulfill this organization's mission. The organizational mission statement gives everyone a frame of reference and a set of criteria by which everyone will govern themselves to see if their actions align with the mission. If you clearly understand the organizational mission statement, then you don't need someone higher up to always control you and nag you to do this and that. So here's an example of an organizational mission statement. As some of you may know, I'm a youth leader at the Vietnamese Eucharistic Youth Movement at my local parish. And our mission statement can be found on the website, veym.net. If you guys don't know what your organizational mission statement is, it's most likely found on your guys' website, so check it out. VEYM's mission is to educate and train youths in becoming a better person as well as an excellent Christian, to organize and to guide all youths in spreading the good news of the gospel and to actively be involved in working for the good of society through charitable services and helping others. Our foundation is God's word in the scriptures and the teaching of the Catholic Church as the basis for educating and guiding the youth in its activities. Our ideal is the Eucharistic Jesus Christ as its focal point, as source of spiritual life, and as ideal for the life of its members. Here's a list of the 5 principles that we live by. I'm not going to read through it all, but feel free to pause here and read through it. But overall, you guys get the point. This is an example of an organizational mission statement, our blood, sweat, and tears on all the things we do, the activities, all the effort. It's all to fulfill this mission. So that's a summary of Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. To end, the author mentions that it takes a lot of time to develop a personal mission statement. It can take weeks. It can take months. And it's something that we really have to sit down and think deeply about and to be really honest with ourselves about. So I hope you all liked this video. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Leave a comment on your thoughts below. Subscribe for more epic videos. And I'll see you all next time for Habit 3, put first things first. This is me, Socrates. Until next time.